Good day, dental professionals. You're tuned in to the Dental Flow podcast, dentistry's go-to resource for insights into the business side of dentistry. Host Benjamin Suggs navigates you through the currents of the ever-changing dental waters. This podcast is packed with innovative practice growth strategies, insights, and expert advice tailored to help increase the flow of new, profitable patients into dental practices. Listen as Ben explores the latest trends, shares success stories, and uncovers actionable tips to elevate your dental practice to the next level. Get ready to dive deep into the currents of dental business knowledge and experience the dental flow.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dental Flow podcast. My name is Benjamin Suggs, and I am going to be your host today. Today we have what I think is a very important topic for dentists, and that is how to optimize your dental website to convert more visitors into patients. So let's jump right in and talk about what that even means. If anyone of you have ever heard the term conversion rate optimization, that's along the lines of what we're going to be talking about today. And what it basically means is, you spend a lot of money to attract potential dental patients to your website. You spend a lot of money to funnel them there. But what we're going to talk about today is once they get there, what can we do to get them to take the action we want them to take, which for a dental office is to book an appointment. So whether that's calling the dental office, whether that is filling out the form, texting, if you have a text on your website, chatting, whatever it is, what can we do on your website to get them to take the action we want them to take that ultimately converts that visitor into a patient sitting in your dental chair? So it really is an incredibly important thing because we've seen cases where you'll see a dental website that has a ton of traffic going to it, but they're still getting very few patients. And probably what the biggest issue there is that when people arrive on your website, there's a disconnect, either a disconnect between what you're offering and what they want, or we're just not doing a good job of pushing them down the road to take the action that we want them to take. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to go through specific tactics that you can use on your dental website to get more of your visitors to convert into actual patients. So let's dive in, and we'll start with the first one. The first point I want to make is remember that there's two types of visitors to your website. There's human visitors, and then there's the search engine bot visitors. And the reason I frame it that way is because you have to create content on your website that appeals to both. So you have to create content that a human will consume and understand. And then you have to create content that a search engine bot will consume, understand, and also rank your website higher because the bot is seeing all the content that they want to see. So bots tend to favor long form content. So pages, blog posts, whatever it is that have, thousands of words on them, stuffed with keywords, topical authority, all the stuff that a search engine wants to see. But let's be honest, the average human doesn't want to do that. More and more we see that visitors to these dental websites are on their mobile phone versus on a desktop computer. So the average we see is about 60% of all people visiting your website are going to be on a mobile phone. We have some areas like dentists in rural areas where that number goes up to 90%. So 9 out of 10 people coming to that website are doing it on a small phone screen and not a big, nice desktop or laptop computer. The reason that's important is that recently the Norman Nielsen Group released some data that showed that users typically only read 20% of the words on a web page during an average visit, with a maximum of 28%. So think about that. If you've got a huge web page, tons of words describing everything about what you do, they're only going to read about 20% of that. That's really driven a lot by smartphone usage. Users have shorter attention spans, and they really don't like to read a lot of content on a smartphone. If you think about that, it's hard to read. That's why every news site you go to now on your smartphone has an option where you can go to reader mode, and actually it gets rid of everything else. It just shows you the text that you want to read for the article. But when we come to a dental website, we're not looking to read articles. That's not what a human wants to do. When a human comes to your website, they're looking for a short burst of information that answers the questions that they have. The questions they have are going to be the common questions. We've covered this in another podcast, actually, of do you offer what they're looking for? And for your side of it, you want to make sure that you're offering small snippets of information. Nothing that's too large to consume quickly. Bullets, icons, headlines, anything that communicates what you do quickly and easily. Think about that visitor on that mobile phone, and they're just not going to get into long form content. So we have to make it quick, easy, small bites of information for people to consume and quickly understand what you do. So that leads us right into the second one, which is say what you do right away and do it above the fold. When I say above the fold, that actually is an old newspaper term. So if you are old enough to remember when they had newspaper stands out on the streets, and you would go and you would see the newspaper sitting there, and the headlines would be what they call above the fold. So it would be folded over, and you would sit there and you'd read it and say, oh, that's interesting. I want to buy this paper so I can read the whole thing. So what they were putting above the fold was what was going to grab your attention and get you to continue down the path of purchasing that paper. So websites are the same. So when you look at a large computer screen, a laptop screen, even a smartphone screen, or even an iPad screen, whatever they see right there above the fold is the first thing they're going to see. And it needs to be something that grabs them and gets their attention. So the most confusing thing that dentists do is be cryptic above the fold, or waste that real estate with a welcome message or something like that people don't care about. Just say right away exactly what it is you do, what's special about you. Don't get too fancy or cute with taglines and things like that don't make sense right away. Just say what you do. There's we know that when people come to these websites, we have about 3 seconds of their attention, if that. That's actually shortening every year. So eventually it's going to be down to 1 second. But you have 3 seconds of someone's attention. So you need to quickly make a connection with that person and explain your value proposition to them right then and right away. Because after 3 seconds, if they don't get it, they're going to go right back to where they came from. So another big thing that we see that's an issue on dental websites is congruence with services. And what I mean by that is that I just saw this the other day, and I hope this dentist doesn't mind me pointing this out here, but we were contacted by a dentist who said, hey, I've got this practice. We do periodontics, we do implants, and I have general dentists working here. But general dentistry is the thing we're having the hardest time getting people in for. I immediately looked at their website and I said, okay, I see a problem right now. The first thing you see in your logo is XYZ Dental, periodontics, and implants. So right away, you're telling visitors who are looking for a dental cleaning, general dentistry, a tooth extraction, whatever it is, that's not what you do. You do something beyond that. You do periodontics, you do implants. So right away, it's not inviting me in as a potential user that this is the right place for me to be. And right away, I'm thinking like, oh, wrong spot. Let me go back to Google and find someone who does what I'm looking for. We've seen that a lot. Over the years, I've done this a long time. We've had dentists who call me up and say, I don't understand. I've been in practice for 25 years. And all of a sudden, my hygiene is completely dried up. We're not getting hygiene patients. And when we look at their website, we say, oh, well, I see a problem here. You've branded yourselves as advanced dentofacial cranial dentistry. Nobody's going to read that and think this is where I've been going for a dental cleaning. They're thinking they're going there for much more advanced dentistry. So make sure there's congruence with what your offer say you do and what your website says you do right away. Another big thing is reviews and social proof. This is something that everybody wants to see these days, is social proof that other people approve of your service. So the more you can include those types of things on your website, potentially on every page, of actual people praising you. So it's not just us, your marketing guru content people, who are saying how great you are. It's actual people who've been to your practice who are giving you reviews and saying how great you are. That is an important thing to have because people want to see that. I would put that as close to the fold as you can so that it's an immediate impact, like, boom, here we go. Here's a bunch of reviews of people saying how great we are. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are people just like you singing our praises. So always include reviews and social proof whenever you can. Another big thing that we see is we look at a website and it just seems very sterile and boring. What you want to do is attempt to make a personalized connection in any way you can. There's a great book called Start With Why. It's by a guy named Simon Sinek. It's been out for like 20 years now, but it's an amazing book. I highly recommend reading it if you have the time. Again, called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And the premise of that book is that, people don't really buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And what I mean by that is that we all have what they call a limbic brain that we use every day to get through life. And it's that reptilian brain where we make a lot of immediate decisions based on emotion, and then we rationalize those decisions. So on a dental website, the way that we use that to our advantage is we try to create an emotional connection with somebody quickly so that they feel that hook. And then they say, okay, yeah, I like this place. I like this way this place looks. I like the way the team looks. This is good. Now let me rationalize a decision. I think I'm going to go there, but let me just make sure that they take my insurance or they're within 10 miles of my house or work. That they have good reviews, that they have financing, whatever that rationalization is, they have sedation, whatever it is. They want to they're going to make a decision on an emotional basis, and then they're going to rationalize that. But the emotional connection is what's going to get them in that 3-second period that we just talked about. So think about using statements. A popular thing that we like to do, and this is something Simon Sinek talks about, is using statements that start with the word believe. So what we're saying is, at XYZ Dental, we believe that everybody should be comfortable when receiving dental treatment. That's just an example. You would want to tie a belief statement to the value proposition that you have in your practice, whatever it is. But as an example, when you say something like that, when you put the word believe in front of it, it immediately gives it more emotional impact to somebody that they believe what you're saying because you're saying it adamantly that what you believe. So try to use a belief statement early on in your hook copy, even above the fold if possible, to try to make that connection, to grab somebody so that before they move on to the website, they already feel a connection with your practice. Personalization does that. So I know we work with a lot of startups, and for them, it's hard to have photos of their practice and their team and all that right at the beginning. But if you've been around for a few years, you should have that stuff. You should have photos of you, photos of your team, photos of you guys interacting in the office, and personalize it as much as you can. So if I go to a dental website and it's just a picture of a building, that's not really showing me much. Even though your building may be the nicest building in the world, it's not a commercial real estate website. It's a dental website. So what we want to show, hopefully not having to use stock photography, is you and your team. And then the extra layer of that is show yourselves having fun. Fun is what's driving people into dental practices. Let's be honest. People don't really like going to the dentist that much. The more we can make it a pleasant experience for them, the better it's going to be for you. So if you show a fun side in your photography of you and your team in your building doing stuff, whatever it is, that's going to resonate with people to think, well, I could go to any of these 35 dentists that pop up when I go to Google, but these guys look like they're just more fun. I'll give you a specific personal example of this. So years ago, we started working with a dentist, and he had a great photographer come in and take photos of him and his team and everything else. And he sent us a couple photos that one was he and his team standing in front of their practice. Very professional, very upright, smiling, total professional. The next photo was of them jumping up in the air and it was caught them up in the air with big smiles on their faces. When we built the website and we launched it, we used the second photo. The dentist called me pretty much right away and said, "Hey, I'm not sure about that picture. I don't think it's really professional. I'd rather you use the photo of us standing there in our lab coats, smiling at the camera." We pushed back. I said, "Hey, doctor, just let me try this. Let's see what we can do. Let us try it for a month." A month later, he called me. He said, "You were absolutely right. I get people coming in here constantly talking about that photo, like literally saying to me, I looked at a bunch of dentists that day, but I really like that photo of you guys because you guys look like you're more fun. So that's why I came here. I can go get my teeth cleaned anywhere. I'd rather go somewhere that's a little more fun than somewhere that's a very stiff, boring doctor's office." So think about that personalization element and also making things appear more fun. Another example is like if I get a picture of the office and someone sends me a picture of the front desk and there's two people sitting behind the front desk, you can kind of see their heads poking up over the desk and they're on their computers. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see you take a photo of those two people standing in front of the reception desk, having a conversation and laughing, because that to me is a welcoming thing to walk into. If I imagine going to your practice and walking in there and there's two people standing there having a lovely conversation and I can jump in there, that's much more appealing to me than, walking in and there's someone behind the desk on the phone, on the computer. So give that open, welcoming vibe in all the photography that you do for your practice. It doesn't have to be silly. It just has to be open, warm, and welcoming. So really think about that when you create your content for your website and photos and videos and things like that. Perfect segue to my next one, videos. Videos do help quite a bit with conversion, and there's a few reasons for that. One is we like to use videos on our dental websites that explain services. So a person doesn't have to read a bunch of text, because remember, we already learned only 20% of people only read 20% of text on a web page. They can watch a quick video instead and get an overview of that service that'll be helpful for them to make a decision. So the easier you make it for them, especially on a smartphone, the more likely they are to pull the trigger and reach out to your practice. So you think about using service videos. We can do generic ones that are out there. We can purchase third party, or we can do ones where it's the actual doctor explaining a service in 1 minute or 2 minutes, explaining what a dental implant is or how veneers work or something like that. The value of that is that not only am I learning about what veneers are, I'm also basically meeting the dentist that potentially will be giving me those veneers. So I might look at this video and say, "Oh, okay, I understand now. You know what? I like this dentist. I like how personable this dentist is. This looks like the type of place where I'd like to go and get veneers done." So think about that type of video. We also encourage, if you've got 4 financing options in your office and you've got different insurance policies, in network, out of network, consider having your office manager record a video where they quickly explain what your insurance situation is, so that you're not forcing people to try and figure out on their own. Instead of trying to read through your website and figure it out, you just have somebody make a video where they explain it right to the potential person. Again, it's more of like creating a one-to-one connection with that person, like you're talking to them. It's important. And just a side note on that, we generally don't like to have the doctor be the one to talk about those things. So that's why we say an office manager is the perfect person to discuss payments, financing, insurance, things like that in a video. And lastly, something that we are encouraging all of our clients to do right now on our dental websites is just to record us a 60-second to 90-second video of an overview of that practice. And the reason we're pushing this is the type of thing we want to have right there on the homepage of the website. And again, it's because we know that people don't want to read. They don't want to read, especially on a smartphone. But if we have a nice 1 to 1.5 minute, maybe 2 minute video of the doctor in that practice speaking right to a camera and explaining an overview of the practice, it could be their treatment philosophy, what they do to make patients feel comfortable there, the services they offer at a high level, insurance. We're a network with insurances. We're not a network. We don't, you want to keep it very positive only focus on the positives, not anything that would be conveyed as a negative to a person. But think of the phrase, putting your best foot forward. That's what you want to do. The reason we like these videos is because for me personally, I get inundated with people trying to sell me service of this, service of that. And a lot of times when I go to their website, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't figure out what it is you actually do. Like, there's nothing here that tells me exactly what you do as an overview. A video like that is so, so helpful, and we're seeing them pop up everywhere. Most services, most businesses now have this quick explainer video that says what they do. I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. Next, we're going to talk about your call to actions, and specifically your primary call to action. So what I mean by call to action is, hey, call us now, fill out our form, fill out our quiz, take a quiz to see if you're eligible for this service, whatever it is. But think about, for you, what is your primary call to action? If your primary goal is to get people to fill out a form, that should be what you repeat over and over again. If your primary goal is for people to book on your online booking system, that should be it. If it's to call, that should be it. But really make sure that you have that primary call to action prominent and repeated over and over again. Sometimes we'll send a new client a dental website draft, and they'll look at it and be like, why do you keep repeating this over and over again? Call us, call us, call us. We're doing that for a reason. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for that person to just say, okay, let me just call them and find out the answer to the question that I have if I'm not finding it right here. It is incredibly impactful, and it makes a difference. So don't be afraid of repetition in your call to action. Put it all over your website. And then the last thing I want to talk about is something a little more technical. Oh, two more things, actually. But first one is exit intent pop-up. So this is a technical thing that we like to use, but basically what it is that when someone comes to your site and they scroll down, if we can detect through this pop-up that they are going back to the back button to leave your website and go back to Google, it's what we call a bounce from your site back to Google or back to wherever they came, we will pop up a pop-up that says, hey, wait a minute, before you go, did you know we have a $99 special? Or we offer sedation to all our patients to make them feel comfortable. Or, hey, download this guide that explains, why we're the best dentist in Seattle, whatever it is. But a pop-up can be very effective because we can track it and we can say, okay, look, this month we had 30 people who were getting ready to leave this website, instead chose to go further and go to the schedule page versus leaving. So it's a very effective thing that it's like one last chance to get these folks back in the fold and get them to reach out and call your practice. Next, mobile optimization is extremely important. We mentioned before that there's more people coming to your website on a mobile device that are coming on a desktop computer. So you want to make sure that your website is very mobile optimized. And that means that just because it looks great on a desktop on your desk at your office, you want to make sure it also looks great and gives the right information on a mobile phone. We see it a lot where when I look at the desktop, everything's great. I can read all the content. Everything makes sense. But when I look at the mobile phone, it's incredibly difficult to read and too much information for a mobile phone, whatever it is. So make sure you've got those two versions, your mobile optimized and your desktop optimized website. So that is it. That's basically everything that I wanted to cover today. If you focus on all those things, I guarantee you that you will see an increase in conversions on your website. And I would encourage you, if you want more information, please reach out to us. We're at newpatientsflow.com. And as always, please please rate us, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us for this Dental Flow podcast episode. If you enjoyed today's discussion and wish to stay updated on future episodes, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with colleagues and friends. For more insights and discussions on dental marketing, we encourage you to continue riding the Dental Flow wave and tune into the next episode. Keep on smiling, learning, and flowing with the Dental Flow podcast.